Alright, welcome on in, everyone, and happy Sunday. We are going to be hopefully finishing Subnautica below zero tonight. Well, today. Fitting for how much snow and whatnot we're getting outside too. Right now. At least for me. So we're going to go ahead and finish the ice planet while it's snowing and causing ice outside. Go. Couple things we have to do though before we do anything, before we can move forward here. So we have to craft a couple things here, and I also need to see if I have three. Oh, actually, let's look at what I need to craft. I want to make the sea truck depth module 3. I've already got the 2. The other thing I want to make is I need to make another snow fox, and there's a modification I need to make for the snow fox. I just have to find it, which is this, because we need to not get caught by the reduce the swarm's ability to catch me. So I have to see what I have. Otherwise, we'll have to go back to the other island and get the existing snow fox. Which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of tempted to do instead of making another one, because they are resource hogs, kind of. We don't have what I need, we're just gonna move with what we got. I've got that part. Oh, what else do I need? I don't remember how many of you it takes to make that. I have to look. I think it's like 10. Okay, actually it's 5 to make that one piece. And after I do that, right, so I need one more titanium for that. Yeah, okay, I do. Good. Oh, and you know what? I didn't realize I had that. We're gonna go ahead and where did it go? There we go. Just get even more power to the base that we don't really need right now. Alright, so that'll be enough to make that. Now, just need 2 lithium, which that I know I've got. If it's lead, that'd be a different story. Alright. So now we're gonna go out to the sea truck, and we are going to get the depth module out. Alright, the only bad part about that is, as far as I know, the only way to do it is to eject the truck from the bay completely and change it, or grab it. upgrades. I want the upgrades.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and actually I think that's gotta be done here. I went right past right. Nope. Okay. It's gotta be done at the modification station then. Alright. So this will mean that I technically now I could take the sea truck deeper. I don't know how deep. We're gonna find out in a minute. 1,000 meters. Okay. What we're gonna do for now is we are gonna dock the sea truck because I don't need it out here yet. So we can unpin you, unpin you. What else can I unpin? I want to keep you there. Let's see what I've got. I don't know where I've got everything. Take battery. Okay, we can actually grab a piece of the lubricant as well. There. Alright. So we need go the other way. We need one piece of the magnesite and one piece of titanium for this part to make another snow fox. And I need silver wire and 2 pieces of titanium to make the to make the worm detector, so this way, the worm silencer, so it'll make me a little quieter. All right. See what I can find of what I got. I know I've got the titanium. I just don't know about the other piece of magnesite. Well, I guess I need one more piece of titanium for that too. Yeah. I don't have the... I don't have all the stuff unless by some chance I've got a piece of... Look. It's on the... Is it on the sea truck? I don't remember. Yes, it is on the sea truck. Okay. Nothing there. We are gonna grab these and get them out of here. At least some of them. See if I can use that to... I can't. Alright, not to find what I want anyway. Alright, so that's... I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna... We just need one titanium and one magnesite. Let's go, see. We're gonna make our way here because I should be able to find one piece of magnesite. And titanium, yes, but I should definitely be able to find one piece of magnesite. This way. And we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully we are right. It's hard to find it though because there's so much crap that wants to kill you out here. Well, there's the titanium. Silver. So there's at least a piece of lead, which is well, actually the hardest resource I think to find in this entire game. More titanium. Copper, I got plenty of copper. Need to avoid that. I knew what that was the second I got close to it. Normally I mistake it for an egg. And I... That was probably not the brightest thing, but I think I took it from it. Some salt. If I can get there. Shit, as I swim right into it. That was a brilliant move. Not even sure, 100% sure what it was. Didn't get a good enough look. I think that's one of the, I can't tell from this distance, but I think it's an EMP shark. Nope, it's not. It's a... I think that's a Leviathan. But whatever it is, it killed me. I didn't get a good enough try with it. Alright. That was not meant to be the plan, obviously, but, well, it happened. So... let's... We have food, we have water. All right, let's make our way. We're just gonna... we're just gonna go toward the other snowbox and just get the existing one. If I have the engine, I should. I just died. So we're just gonna go grab the existing snowbox and bring it back. Because we need it to go to the other location. And that magnesite is probably up there with the lead, for it's hard to find. So that's why we're just gonna go get the snow fox and just bring it with us. Sad thing is I had a second one, but it got stuck in the map and I can't get it back. So we have to get a new one, or, well, either get a new one or get this one. And for ease of time and everything, it's probably just faster to get this one. So we can't climb that way. That's fine. We will. Let's go here. Just want to pick it up. I don't want to board it. I just want to pick it up. And apparently I have to get off the... I won't use that. There we go. Alright, so we're going to head back to the sea truck. Because we need to... At the other island. I don't really want to turn around. I just got to keep on moving. But we are gonna get back to the truck, get in the, well, finish unloading the prawn suit. Yeah. Yes, because that's right. On that island, there is the, oh, what is it? The ion cubes. So I need to finish unloading the prawn suit so I can mine the ion cubes. I got a hunch I'm gonna need those.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
It's fine, we'll go. We'll stick the snow fox in here for now. Where I can fit it. Fit in there. It's fine. We will do this. Thank you. Alright, nope, I want that back. That's fine, we'll just leave it with me. We'll just have to potentially make a few trips. Maybe. Actually, nope. This will be one trip. Even better. Go stash this stuff in here. Then we'll make our way toward the other island again, the robotics lab island. And we'll find what we're looking for, hopefully, without too much death. Although, I don't know. Alright, quick save. Alright. So we are going to make our way. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. We are going to make our way towards the robotics lab area. And then we are going to take the prawn suit with us on the island, which I need to do to get the, what you call it? The ion cubes. And we'll take the snow stalker with us as well. The ion cubes are where the penguin is, or pinglet, whatever you want to call it is, so that's at least a good marker for me to know where that is. Thing is, I was so close to this place last night when I was running around, I just didn't know because I kept getting killed by, not killed, I didn't die I don't think, but you know, attacked by the tremor thing. The snow worm or whatever you want to call it. We will just have to see, because honestly I don't know. That's something we're going to find out. I don't know if the prawn suit will protect me from the elements. The cold on this island. Only one way to find out. Alright, let's keep moving. We're almost to the dock area where I need to be. It's there, because there's the like alien tail or whatever you want to call it. Let's go this way a little further because I need to. One thing is, I wish that the sea truck could surface a little higher so I could actually see a little more. What's above the water. Like the sub and the sea moth and everything else in the other games could surface higher up in the water than what this can. I think we're almost to... Yeah, we're almost there. Alright, because that's what I need right there. So let's do this. Alright, let's see. I have the cold suit on. Good. We're gonna lower the prawn suit. I got... Oh, okay. That may not have been the smoothest move. In hindsight. Oh well. I should have just got in it. Because now I got a long
100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decrease.
way to go. Air. is my sea truck. Could just be straight up, pretty much. There it is. Alright, so we got a little bit to go, but as I shouldn't have dropped it down, I should have just got on the damn thing. But that's my fault. So we will just wait for the booster to recharge. Yeah. Alright, so yes, this will protect me. But we're gonna save it here as well. Just because if I lose the prawn suit to the snow worm, at least I don't have to go too far back. Because something that, you know, can detect heavy stomping on land will definitely detect this. Probably rip it apart too in like 1 or 2 tries. Right. I'm not even sure if I'm going the right way. Yeah, we're going the right way. I'm not sure if this is a good or bad idea. Let's fix something here real quick. Grab these for food. Now we won't have to worry about food for a little bit. So we need to be careful here because I hear it, I just don't see it. And I'm stuck. Alright. So we're gonna try. Come on. That will help. It's not gonna prevent it all, but it'll help. Let's let this recharge. Let's see if it will. There we go. Got me enough. What's this? I don't remember seeing these before. We just need to find. There's a cave entrance I need to find, which we are pretty close to it now. But we also have to be very mindful because of that thing. The snow worm. think I can get to the cave by going this way, but I still have to be careful. I think I can. Here it is. Okay. So the only reason I even set that here was so I could get here and drill for the ion cubes because I'm gonna need them. We're gonna try to pick up the kit. Alright. We're gonna fill up on ion cubes. As many as I can, we're gonna get them. Until it tells me my storage is full. And after we fill up or get all these ion cubes, we're gonna end up leaving the prawn suit here for now. The reason being is because I don't want to lose the prawn suit. Lose the prawn suit to the basically the snow worm. So we're gonna save again. Alright. That wasn't a smooth move, but fine. Let's see, oh, that was just enough to fill it up. Good shit. Alright. So let's equip you. We're gonna then... Good for now. We're gonna get out of the cave and then take you out. Hopefully, okay, good stuff. It didn't get stuck. All right, so this is the part I have to figure out now. This is the part I don't know 100% where I'm going. And I think we have to be careful here because of all the snow stalkers and the worm thing, the snow worm. Oh shit, that chopped this thing down real good with that hit. Let's take a quick minute and repair. It's the right way. Looks like it is, I think. Maybe. Shit, we don't want to piss off the snow stalkers either. So there should be like alien tech somewhere near here for where I need to go. That's what I'm trying to find. Great, it got stuck. Alright, let's pick it up if it will let me. Just want to pick you up. Let's go do a quick repair. Let's make sure that you're... Alright. Nope, we're good on that. Damn it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to board it. Alright. Sure. At night it's even harder to see. There should be like a conduit or a tail type pipeline where I need to go. But I don't see one. Shh. Damn it. We're gonna go this way. You know, I think I just found what I was looking for. Maybe. But we're gonna take a quick minute here because I need to repair again. No, because it didn't light up green. I came from that way. So it tells me I still need to go back this way. Even worse, it's nighttime now. It's harder to see. Where I'm going. I think it's that way. No. Shit. Again. I don't, well, it's not that I don't remember, it's I don't actually know 100% where I need to go. I have an idea, it's somewhere in this area. I just don't specifically know where. Let's see. West, east. We need to move because I just pissed off the snow stalker. And now I just want to get in this cave, and then I can recenter from in this cave. Apparently, they will come in the cave, though. Which, I mean, kind of makes sense. It just, nothing's ever come in here before. That's... I just needed to leave me alone. We need to kind of just back off a little bit, give it a minute to go away. May have to find a different way out for now. Here, let me... That was not a genius move. But walking, in a sense, will be better down here. Slower, but... Or not. We just... That just pissed off a snow stalker. Got a hunch where I need to go is that way. The problem is I don't see how to get that way. I'm not careful, I'm gonna lose this out here. I know it's somewhere in this area. I just don't know shit. Where specifically? We just need to go. Don't get... Nope. Don't get... Let's go in here for a minute. And let's repair. Luckily, I don't think it can get me in the cave. So, let's take a look and see what's this way. I think it just did. I just fell. That's fine. Maybe. Right. Now it's too cramped for me to move in here with that, so we're just gonna hoof it for a minute. Who knows, you may even have accidentally found what we were kind of looking for. Let's see. Just go up here and just take a look around. I don't think this is the right way. I think we have to go back that way. Attempt to go explore a little further down there. So that's taking me back toward the robotics lab, at least looking at it that way. So that's not the right way. I haven't seen the piece I'm looking for, the alien tech wire thing that I'm looking for yet. So I don't even know if I'm going the right way. Like there's a piece, is it? Alright, we just need to just try going this way. Need to avoid that. So this is back to the right area-ish. There we go. Got what I was looking for. There should be a... Real quick, let's do this. And let's get moving, because we... in the area-ish I was looking for. Think. Oh, we need to definitely repair you. So, that conduit that I found. Where did I find it? Right here, I think. No. Just kind of got to keep moving. I lost the conduit though, so I think I have to go turn back around and go back the way I was. Unless this is why I kind of wish there was a more interactive map, because I know kind of where I need to go. We're just gonna. Oh, you. Come on, it did it to me again. It. That is the second time I have lost a snow fox due to it dropping below the map. And there's no way for me to get it back short of reloading. I may have to reload. We're gonna try and find the conduit without it again. It's gonna be a challenge, but we're gonna try it. Can't move as fast. Something new. We got an ad starting in about a minute, everybody. It'll be a 3-minute ad break. You'll give me a few minutes. Go ahead and stretch and do a couple other things real quick. We are in a newish area. So kind of wanting to explore. There's an dead ice worm. I wonder what did that. Is there a cave anywhere? Shit. I want to find the cave. Because since I lost the snowpox because it fell below the map, if I don't find a place to warm up, we are going to be in a quick ad break, everybody. I will see everybody back in a few minutes. Thanks for sticking around. And we are back. Let's go ahead and keep moving. We are still in need of a cave before hypothermia sets in because unfortunately my snowbox is gone. Fell through the map. So I need to find a cave. What we did find, you know what? All might be okay. Kind of. Let's follow this. It may lead to where I need. And what do you know? I think this is what I needed. So we at least aren't gonna freeze. No, I want shit. I didn't want to throw the flare. Now I might be screwed. I just threw the flare. And I don't see it. So we got to where I needed to go, but the bad thing is I'm probably not going to make it back without dying because I just threw my flare. Pro tip, don't throw your flares, especially when you lose your snow fox because it falls through the map. I mean, the thing is, this is what I was looking for. I'm fairly certain. I just want to see. Nothing I can scan so far. What's this? broken. Tech. What's this? This is ancient component. Alright, good shit.
Rough way to go.
Yes, I would not enjoy being crushed while
No.
iron cube components.
The cold preserved the body well, but this isn't a big sample. Will it be enough?
Our tissues are pluripotent, derived from the DNA of various species, capable of changing form as necessary.
Ah, like stem cells. So, what prevents you from, I don't know, ending up with hooves where your eyelashes should go?
That does not happen. At least not since the fourth iteration.
Fourth one.
We have scanned all the components we need to make a storage body.
Are you excited?
Using the chemical compounds available in your body, I am able to approximate what you might call cautious optimism.
Alright, so we got it. So we got what we needed. But we have no flare. I don't think the heated knife is going to be able to keep me alive. So, what do I have? We're just going to have to chance it. Because I shouldn't have thrown the flare. But I did, like in rookie. So, we are going to just have to chance it. We are either going to make it back or die. I mean, if we die, at least the plus side is I've got if I die, at least the plus side is, you know, I don't lose anything except for a few items in inventory, and it'll either spawn me back at, well, I'm not sure where it'll spawn me back at. Because, see, I can still see the snow fox under the map. We need to get back to the penguin now. But we also have to deal with the snow worm. So I don't know if I'm going to make it. Either, I think a couple things could possibly happen. Either I'm going to freeze, might make it to a cave, somehow might make it back to the penguin and get to the prawn suit, or the snow worm is going to kill me, or a snow stalker. Find out. Hopefully it's the latter and I can make it back to the cave, though. Let's do this real quick. And it'll make it, if I can make it back to that, it'll at least make it worth losing 3 snow foxes to, no, 2 snow foxes to getting stuck in the games environment. And there's a possibility, because the cold suit is helping. If I didn't have the cold suit and I dropped that flare, though, I'd be dead already. Alright. So it's that way. I can't just drop down there, because that will hurt too much. We kind of just gotta hope we make it. We've come this far. Hopefully if I stay to the corners, the snow worm will leave me alone. I think we're okay. Maybe. As long as I can get into the cave. find the way in. But as long as I can get in, we should be good. Alright, I think we're good because we're in the cave now. So my prawn suit's going to be in here, which will keep me alive.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Long enough to make it back to my sea truck, as long as I don't go the wrong way. I do want to pick this back up, though. Alright. Because I don't think the ion cubes will come back, and I've got a decent amount of them. We want to go this way. The reason I want to go this way is because I think it's going to get me back to the sea truck and allow me to this might be a bad idea. We're gonna chance it though. Sea truck is that way. The reason why I'm saying this is a bad idea is because if the worm comes out here, I don't think I can do anything to protect myself. I can do that, but all I can do, well, seems to have worked, at least for that moment. I think we're okay. I think we're out of danger. Yeah, we should be good. Alright, so all we gotta do now is get back to the sea truck. Once we get back to the sea truck, we can head back to the base and we can craft the stuff we need to build the alien's body. And then head back to the Leviathan cave area and the crystal caves. And I got a hunch. There's the sea truck. I think we're gonna actually end up finishing this game today. I'm gonna have to do... Okay, that didn't work. I need you to... There we go. This way I don't drop all the way down while the booster recharges. And we're gonna have to do it again. I mean, worst case scenario, I can take the sea truck down, but I don't think I'm gonna need to do that. We'll let it recharge. I'm actually moving the sea truck right now from that. Shit. I didn't want to move it quite like that. I just want it to... There we go. How are we looking storage-wise? We're gonna... grab out as many of those as I can. Alright, what's
Gather
this?
the necessary components
Oh, it's
to
Alan.
begin constructing my body.
Great. What's next? Let's get you out of my head.
Do you remember the fabrication facility? You must return there.
Right. The fabrication facility. So you always planned on needing to make new bodies?
It is a standard medical facility.
A medical facility where you just replace your whole body when it wears out? Sounds a little beyond standard to me.
Ours
Yeah.
was a research mission of the highest importance. All of my people were not invited.
So, what were you, a scientist like me?
I am a scientist now.
So, what happened? Your team found the vaccine and then...
Please, Robin, you have the components. Return to the facility and construct the body.
Okay,
I
but
will
don't
work
think I
on
don't
it.
Notice you changing the topic.
As soon as... Alright, let's see, is there any... We're gonna grab the last of the ion cubes out of the sea truck. Or the prawn suit. And then we're gonna head back to base because I need to see what I need to fabricate this body, or the parts to fabricate the body. And we're also gonna do a quick save, even though I've lost the snow fox and I'll never be able to get it back because it's somewhere. Just consider it, you know, a necessary loss. Alright, so we're going to make our way back. We are going to see what I need to craft the parts for Alan's body. Once I have all that set up, we will then make our way back down to the Ruby Cave or whatever, the Crystal Cave, and the fabrication place. There's a very good likelihood we are going to finish today. And I can't wait. This game has been really good so far. So we're heading back to the base right now. Got the last body part I needed for the skeleton. Had to deal with a couple losses in the process, but we're good on that. Hopefully I don't need another snow fox. Hopefully I don't need too much magnetite, because I only have one piece and that stuff's hard to find. Let's just keep moving. But I'd say, you know what? Finding the alien tissue body part was worth the loss of the snow fox. Didn't lose the prawn suit, thankfully, so. And it's the only way I made it off the island because I dropped my flare. Or threw my flare and I couldn't find it. That and the cold suit. Those are the only two ways I made it off there. Alright, so. We are... Okay. We're going to swing wide now as to hopefully avoid hitting anything. I think we actually might pull it off. Pretty close, I'll take it. One of the best turns I've made with this in a while. So, let's We'll leave everything there. Well, actually, I don't even need to worry about that quite yet. Let's just do this. All right. Synthetic fibers. All right, so I need to figure out right now what I need for synthetic fibers. I can't remember. I know I've got it. Well, I think I've got it. Yeah. I know I've got the spiral plant clippings because they're on the roof growing in the grow bed outside. I think I've got the rubies too. Titanium might be my only... Titanium might be my only problem. Here. We're gonna drop the snowballs. Alright, so we're gonna grab... Okay, so for you I just need 2 plant ribbons. Those I've got somewhere. I need 1 more of you. Grab another flare just because. Right. Just those. So that piece, the architect organs are now can be crafted. I will need diamonds, so I'm gonna have to dump some stuff that I don't need to take with me. So we are... Stash you. We're gonna keep the repair tool, keep the laser cutter. We'll take a risk and stash the flare. So I need... Thought I had, unless I used it, thought I had one of those. Oh, I do. Okay. So I need... Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go stash what we've got. We're gonna be a little more organized with stashing of what we've got this time. Well, the thing is, I don't know, but you see, now I gotta figure out if it's... Alright, I know what we're gonna do. Probably risky, but we're gonna do it anyway. Stash all of that there. So basically I need synthetic fiber. That's all checked off. That's all checked off except for the ingot. I need 1 more gel sack, synthetic fiber, and ingot. Alright. We are going to also grab this out. Change the suit back to the reinforced diving suit, and we are going to stash the cold stuff. Alright, so I need synthetic fiber and a gel sack. That's all I should need. So I need 1 ruby, 1 clipping of that plant, and we should have everything I need. So I need a ruby. It's the ruby. We'll find the gel set, or I'll look for the other gel sack. I might have one. I honestly don't know. Worst case, I have to go get one. Red root. Go. Alright, so let's go. We also might swap out some batteries potentially here before we go, or at least grab a couple spares. Let's make the synthetic fiber, because I could do it all in the sea truck, but I'm not taking the sea truck with me. Alright, so now what I need to find, we can unpin you. I need to find one more gel sack. And there we go. I think we're good. I think we have everything we need. We'll take a quick scan, a quick inventory look at the prawn suit. And figure it out. But I think we have everything I need to make this trip. All right. There's the synthetic fiber. So that needs one synthetic fiber and 2 gel sacks. Check. Beacon, food, and water. Yes, good idea there, Zach, man. And how are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing good for Sunday. I think it's Sunday. Yeah, it is Sunday. All right. And you know what? I lied. I need the pastille ingot, so I still can't quite go. I'm not done yet. I'm glad I double checked. I have everything else. All right, so let's see. So that requires 5. Yes, 5 titanium. I have 5 titanium. And I have beacons in here somewhere, so I may as well. I'm okay, headache again, but otherwise, well, I'm sorry to hear you have a headache. I hope it does get better. I'm doing pretty good here. No headache today, at least not yet. Just snow preventing me from being able to do some of the stuff I want to do today. Like I needed to go grocery shopping a little bit and whatnot, and it was like doing like, oh, there's 2 beacons. Okay, it was doing like an ice snow mix type thing, and it's like, you know what, just because I know how to drive in the snow doesn't mean it's worth driving in the snow. So we'll wait for it to stop snowing or possibly go out tomorrow. Other than that, it's going pretty good today. Yeah, you know what, it happens, but that's why it's like, you know what, it's worth, oh, and I did have more of them. Okay, it's more worthwhile for me to say forget it and stay off the road, just because, you know what, crap happens, people make mistakes, and you know what, life happens. So in my opinion, it's better to stay off the road today, at least while it's doing the crappy weather stuff, and then just driving it later. Or drive when it's just done snowing and it's just on the ground. Alright, so I need what? 1 more titanium. I have 1 more. Watch, I'm gonna be short 1 piece of titanium. Called it. I'm short 1 piece of titanium. That's fine. We can fix that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we will find my one piece of titanium. Hold on. I might have. There it is. There's the quantum locker. No, but I do. Well, we'll leave that there. Because at least I know I've got the stuff I need now to make Snow Fox number 4. So, yeah. 4. Yeah. 4. Because the first one got destroyed by the snow thing. The snow worm. The second one fell through the map. And the third one fell through the map and I can't get it back. We may as well stock up on these two. File them out here. Let's see. That should be good. I can keep those. With me. I need one more, so you know what? We can grab all but one inventory slot. It works out. It'll work out eventually. It's fine. Let's just get you. Let's go grab a piece of titanium. And we're gonna go ahead and make my way to the Leviathan Heavy Cave that I'm not looking forward to going to. But we have to advance, so it's fine. So we got the last piece of titanium, and this is actually going to be the first time, I think. Oh, thanks for eating what I was trying to capture. I think this is going to actually be the first time that I actually have gotten everything right in theory before I head out to go craft something. So we've got, actually, let's see what my, got 2 bottles of water. I want to make, got 4, 8, 9. So we're going to make 4 more bottles of water. We'll keep the others with me for uncooked and everything, just for, I can drop them and cook them with my heated knife. And we'll keep the 2 cured ones with us. Alright, that'll do. Alright, let's turn you off. Now we're gonna head back to the, well, actually we're gonna fix that first, because I don't need that. It's just clutter on the map and then I focus on the wrong things. Alright, that'll turn off in a minute. Now we're going to head back to the prawn suit, do a quick inventory again, just to make sure we're set before we take off. I do have a spare power cell in my inventory. Yes. So I have a spare ion battery in my inventory. Alright, let's check. So dash you. I have the 2 beacons. Alright, so I got those. I got the gel sacks. I've got the synthetic fiber. Check. Got the polynine, and I know I'm saying that wrong. Got the diamonds, and I got the ingot. Check. I have 4 ion cubes. I'm actually going to probably grab more ion cubes before I leave just to make sure, because I don't know how many I'm going to need for what might be coming. 2 you. All right. Yeah, so we are just going to go back in and we're going to grab... How many more inventory slots do I have? I didn't really look. So 5, 6, 7. So we're going to grab 7 more ion cubes just in case. Because we got plenty from the ion cube mine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So we're going to stick these 7 in there, so just in case we need more, we've got it. Now, we're also going to save because we're taking a very... Okay, well, we're 1 short. That's fine. I can handle being 1 short. We're going to save because there's an awful lot of stuff that
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I can lose here. Alright, so now let's make our way toward the cave. Oh, let's just do it again, just because I want to make sure I did save. Alright, we're going to do one more thing here because I want to have it ready before I get there. Alright, so we've just repaired the prawn suit. So it's at 100% for now. We are heading toward the cave base marker, which will then lead us to the Leviathan marker, and then lead us to the Crystal Caverns or Crystal Caves, I think. And the base structure. The only thing is, like I said, right now this is a very expensive trip. Hopefully I don't lose anything this time. Like, hopefully the Leviathans decide to play nice this time and let me make it without destroying the prawn suit. I haven't yet, but I don't really want to find out. I don't really want it to be lost. I'll tell you right now, that'd be an instant reload. Because I'm not crafting everything and farming everything again. Alright. I am curious this. Like, I want to see... I want to know what happens after this body stuff is done. I guess we'll find out. It's a fun game. I like the game a lot so far. But I will say, you know what? It's not... I don't know, I like the first one a little better. Just the regular Subnautica a little better than I did this one. That's spores. Alright, let's see. That's the docking station. Need to find... I don't think I turned it off, did I? Let's just make sure I didn't turn it off. I don't see... No, it's still on. Okay. Maybe what we should do is... There. Maybe it'll... Spurs... Alright, well, here we go. No coming, no turning around now. on our way. This is her base, and we're heading down toward Leviathan Central right now. Okay, I still have the grappling arm. I should have potentially made some missiles, but hopefully I won't need them. Let's just drop down so I can get my bearings for where I'm at. That was not fun. Alright. So that's the... I don't think that's where I need... Can't remember. We're gonna kind of just... Very cautious... Oh, fuck me. Very cautiously have to explore. And I say cautiously, it's just I just got snatched by the Leviathan that I was trying to avoid. I think it might be this way. But we need to
Passing 100 meters.
repair.
Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Because I won't only be able to take like at most probably 3 of those attacks. And then I lose everything. Shit. They're not gonna play nice with me. I'm not even sure I'm going the right way. Just gonna keep this repaired. Anytime I get hit, I'm gonna have to run until I can repair it. Find out. Worst case scenario, I have to... I went the wrong way and I have to just find it. We're gonna kinda... think I'm not mistaken, where we need to go is down this way. Only one way to find out, though. Yep, we're on the right track because there's the crystals. So we're at 100%. We're gonna save down here right now. And then I gotta find the door again. And just remember that it's a door, not a window this time, because initially when I saw it, I swear I thought it was a window and I had to find another entrance. Careful, because there's two... there are 2 Leviathans down here. At least. think. Can't remember where. Tap. I also got myself stuck a little bit. I can't
Calorie intake
move.
recommended.
I'm stuck. Come on. I don't. Like being stuck here. There we go. Leave me alone. I'm gonna hope it just goes away. I don't even care about scanning it. I just want it to go the fuck away. Because they're not. I don't want to be friends with that. For anything that wants to try to eat me or kill me, I definitely don't want to be friends with. Where am I going? Just keep moving. We'll eventually find the entrance again. We're getting rather lucky with like avoiding these leviathans. Kinda got me concerned because eventually it's probably gonna get. It just got me concerned. We might be okay. Kind of what we're looking for. Let's see if we'll do this one piece at a time. Or at least we'll grab stuff out one piece at a time. Watch, this is gonna be when
This
it.
was the spot where I can make you a body, right?
Yes.
This is gonna be where it bites me in the ass. And the Leviathan decides to,
Once you have used the fabricator to build each component, we can assemble them.
And then we can transfer you out of my head?
I am anticipating it as much
That's
as you
not the
are.
right one.
So, Alan, you said your people came here in search of a cure?
I was a researcher.
You were a scientist? Like me?
My people regarded my scientific contributions with particular interest,
As I said, like me.
if that is your interpretation.
So, how did your valuable scientific mind wind up infected?
Not my mind, my body. Perhaps you should build the next component.
So we need you and you. I don't need you yet. I need the synthetic fiber. Can I get away with 2 ion cubes? 2 ribbons. So no, that's fine. It just means that will have to come back. But we are going to make the second component, which is this one.
So you came here.
And let's go
to
grab
search
the
for a
3
cure?
kyanite.
I led the mission.
Does that mean the bacteria got out on your watch?
This subject is uncomfortable. If you would like to know more, I will ask that you first construct the final component.
Alright, so we're gonna craft the final body component and then see what's what, because no idea yet.
This is the last piece. Soon I will be autonomous again.
What will you do with your newfound freedom?
I must return home to make amends.
Amends? For the bacterium? There seems to be a lot you're not telling me.
It is hard for me to find the words. I must collect my thoughts. We have all the necessary components. You may initiate body fabrication sequence from the terminal.
You still owe me an explanation.
I understand.
Commencing storage medium fabrication.
The escape of the bacteria was an accident. I thought my solution was foolproof. I was wrong.
Did you cause the accident?
Yes.
Oh,
I do not wish to speak about it.
we can come back to this.
Interesting looking body. Alright. Now what? Well, first things first, gonna scan it.
Research. Tit for tat. You've probed my mind. I scan your body.
That's fair.
Commencing data transfer.
Did it work?
Damn.
Are we...
It has been some time since I last stretched out in so many dimensions. Like waking from a dream.
Whoa.
Honestly, he looks kind of like demonic, like he's gonna up to no good.
You're really not in my head anymore?
There are some remnants. Would you like your memories of me removed as well?
Are you kidding? No way. You still owe me the end of your story.
I told you I must return home. To assess. Repair. Make amends.
Tell me more.
When the bacteria escaped, it was my fault. I disobeyed the directive from my network.
Oh no.
Damn, he's quick.
We noticed that a species of Leviathan young produced an enzyme that is efficient against the bacteria. I thought if we incubated sea dragon eggs, we might expedite their hatching. I was not wrong.
But...
It would appear that sea dragon parents are stronger and more motivated than our facility was rated to handle.
And the bacteria got out, infecting everything. How many survived the outbreak back home? Are they still waiting for someone to bring back a cure?
I do not know.
Can I help?
The fact that I withheld this information does not concern you.
It was certainly manipulative. And I've also made my own share of mistakes. I'm still committed to helping.
I accept your help. Find me at the gate when you are ready.
What
In
gate?
the meantime, I must prepare.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
There we go. Let's take a look. Okay, so what was it called again? Architect Phase Gate Facility. That's a bit of a ways away. We're gonna go ahead and do a quick save. Doesn't look like there's anything else in here I can scan. So I've already kind of walked around the room. It's cool to see it all lit up though.
Welcome
Alright.
aboard, Captain.
Now we need to make our way out of here. We're okay on food and water for the moment. Let's just hope. And I don't think I'm gonna get what I wanted. Unless I can somehow get lucky. I want to avoid the Leviathans on this trip. I just want to get out of here. Like, if they pass me, that's fine. I just don't feel like getting eaten by them. Shit, like that. Go up. Kinda wish I had torpedoes though, because I would have liked to have. I don't recall if I actually fired them in their when they were that close. I can't remember. I think I did. But it would have been something to see. I don't remember if I actually did do it. Just enough.
Vital signs stabilizing.
So we're making our way out. I'm gonna land down here for a minute though. And I'm gonna take my chances because I don't want to be caught in a situation where it attacks again with this not repaired. Let's see. We need to head that way. And I see it. We just kind of are going to try and keep moving. Because I don't want to deal with it. Spores. Alright. We're gonna do it again if I can. So that's not what I wanted. It is interesting though to have no alien presence in her head anymore. I got a hunch. But also kind of disconcerting or creepy that he offered to erase her memories of it. No. That's another torpedo arm fragment. And we got an ad that's about to start everybody here in 1 minute. It'll just give me a minute to go ahead and stretch and take care of a couple other things. Refill water, you know. Maybe grab something to snack on real quick. Spores. This is gonna end badly. Kind of. Especially because I'm much closer to it than I want to be. I just take my chances. That's just lithium. Alright, that should be starting here any minute, everybody. And I didn't get a chance to repair. Alright, so we are going to be taking a quick ad break. I'll see everybody back in a few minutes. Thanks for sticking around. All right, thank you for sticking around, and we are back. We need to like wait for this to go away. All right. If they do want it to leave, so I can get out of here.
Calorie intake recommended.
I will deal with it when I'm not running from something for my life. Because I have a minute before it's gonna force me to be in trouble. Have anything at the moment anyway. Alright. Let's let the boosts recharge. Don't know if I've actually ever I know where I'm at. Let's go ahead and cook you.
Vital signs.
That'll get me by
stabilizing.
for now. From here, well, actually, from here, let's do this real quick. Let's repair. And now that we've repaired, let's... Yes, I don't know. Let's... I don't know which way I have to go for this. I don't know if it's going to be up or down, and obviously I'm not going to know until I just keep moving. That's not a Leviathan, but it doesn't mean I want to encounter it. That's right, go away. It looks like that might be for the prawn suit, but I don't know what it is. Docking module fragment. Okay, so it was just titanium.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Let's see. Just make my way up. And once I make my way up, I can then figure out where I need to go. Once I'm more or less Where? There we go. We're just gonna try and head toward the gate facility. Now that I kind of have an idea of where I'm at. And we don't know exactly where I'm at, but shit, not again, not another one of these. Come on. I don't even know what that is. The second time one of them has got me today, though. We need to get to a somewhat safe spot so I can repair. Once I get up here, I'm gonna take my chances. Tell you what though, at least this Pronto can still take more of a beating than the other one, at least from the other Subnautica, it seems.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Where? That way. Salt, I'm not worried about any of that right now. Alright. So hopefully we're on the right track. Because we're by ice, so we may hit a wall soon. I don't know yet. I don't think I've ever seen this. Right, let's kind of explore. It looks like it took me to one of the, okay. It took me to one of the islands. It took me to the robotics island. That was kind of cool. Can I not? Am I not able to go that way? Looks like no. Alright, that's fine. We'll just have to figure out where to go. Because it's right... You know, I wonder... Just took a minute. I had to get not creative. I just had to look around. Anything new here?
Calorie intake recommended.
No, and I actually forgot about that. I need to eat. Let's see if I can find might be new stuff here though. See if there's anything.
Are you preparing to leave, Alan?
Yes, there is much to do.
Vital signs stabilizing.
That'll get me by for a little bit. Interesting, though.
Do you still wish to leave with me? Beyond this teleporter, there is no turning back.
Are you
Oh,
kidding?
cool.
I can't pass up a chance to see where architects come from.
I get to go
Besides,
with him?
I don't have another ride.
I do not know what we will find there.
Hell
The
yes.
others may be sick or angry, if they live at all.
Or you could find peace. Family.
I hope you are right. Please complete any business you still have on this planet. Join me on the other side when you are ready to leave.
Right. Let's go. Nothing really for me to do here.
Robin,
Oh, this is
just
so
in time.
cool.
The phase gate is opening.
You've been hiding a phase gate here this whole time.
Only for the last millennium.
Only for the last millennium.
No wonder you hid yourself from Altera.
It was imperative to keep the homeworld safe.
Oh,
in
this is
hopes that the others
awesome.
survived.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool.
Will you help me prepare the ship? The energy masts must be moved into place.
Well, this is different.
Dude. This is different, so I don't know what to do. Energy things need to be moved into play. Oh, okay. I think I know what you're. I see it. That's cool. That is really freaking cool. It's like, I don't know, it's like you're meeting Dr. Octopus or something with alien tech. Hey, let's not drop it.
Very good. Return to me and I will initiate ship assembly.
You mean it's not already? Okay.
Thank you. The masts are in place. The energy field is ready. There is no time to lose.
What are we? Okay, let's go then. Let me get on the like pad thing. It's just cool looking shit. This thing's fucking awesome.
Join me, Robin.
Little abusive of a transporter, but it's awesome.
I would have helped you to your feet, but as you can see, I have been fully integrated with the ship.
Is this permanent?
Oh, this is
Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
this is such a nice view.
Ready to leave the past behind.
Good. Please brace yourself, and then we will depart.
Where? Okay.
Launching in 3, 2, 1.
This is a cool planet. Kinda sad to leave it. The shit's really freaking cool looking though. Oh, I think this is amazing. I think this was worth it. Like, this is just... Damn. This is like... I don't even know how to describe this. It's like
What will we find when we get there?
meeting like the
Last of my kind.
quote, like the Star Trek stuff, you know, it's like final frontier of Subnautica. This is damn amazing. Ship's cool. Definitely think this is cool. I mean, like, this is amazing. They got the space stuff, I think, really good in this game.
And if they survived?
With you, I am ready to face whatever awaits.
Damn, this is cool. I wish there was a little more to that ending, though. Like a little more context to what happened to him. Yeah, the ending on this one was definitely good. I mean, I was actually expecting it to kind of follow suit with the other Subnautica, though, where you had to like craft a base to get out. Or not a base, craft like a rocket to get out, but adding the alien ship to it was definitely a nice touch. Definitely a nice touch. I mean, was not necessarily expecting that to be coming. I mean, it does make sense after how the game went with the alien body, the AI, and the fact that there was nothing here for you to get out. Definitely a fun game. Definitely a little more to do on the side, maybe, if I want to go, you know, completionist route and get all the